let's kick things off here over in California.
In California, it appears that we can go full Mills Lane and say, let's get it on, because we are going to have a fight between at least two sports betting initiatives in California as long as we get the online one verified. They announced, the DraftKings and FanDuel-backed group, that they have 1.6 million signatures collected. They need to have just shy of 1 million verified. That leaves more than enough margin for error once that petition is turned in. So that is the version of sports betting in California that would allow for online sports betting throughout the state, mobile sports betting everywhere in the Golden State. We already had qualified the tribal initiative, which would limit it to retail, at least for the first 5 years, at tribal-backed casinos. And so if both of those are going to be on the ballot, it sets up a really interesting situation in California, and a very expensive one as well. There are going to be hundreds of millions of dollars spent in this fight, and for good reason, because as Eilers and Krajicek has theorized in the past, this could be a market that generates $3 billion in revenue annually. And to give you a little bit of comparison, we're talking about the New York market and the fact that we're pleasantly surprised that it appears on track for generating $500 million with a 51% tax rate. So California, at least in this online initiative, it would be a much more reasonable tax structure. But what's going to happen here is that when two qualify for a ballot on the same issue, I'm going to tell you from my background in politics, it gets harder for either of them to pass. People get confused. They're not sure what to vote for. Sometimes the campaigns themselves spend so much time pushing against the other one that people look at both and say, well, neither of these could be any good, because that's what I've been hearing on TV forever. So lots more to come in California. There is, of course, still the card room measure floating out there. I'll tell you from having been at the Tribal Gaming Conference a couple of weeks ago, not a lot of optimism that that one is going to qualify. But if we have two on the ballot, it is going to be a scene to watch in the Golden State through November.
Dustin, your level of confidence on a 1 to 10?
Well, I don't think San Diego is going to fall off into the ocean because of an earthquake if this were to happen. I don't know. Adam and I were spitballing this the other day. Anywhere from like a 10 to 25% chance, and that might be high. Like, it might be too much for the online measure to happen, or for for either of them to happen a little higher. So, I wouldn't be surprised if it got passed, but it's a decided underdog going into this. You think a lot of money is spent on sports betting ads right now? Think about how much, there is going to be infinity money spent on sports betting commercials for and against this ballot measure, because it is so important for both sides to get what they want. The tribes want nothing to do with this. They're fine with scorched earth and nothing getting passed. Honestly, that would be probably an ideal solution for them. They would take the retail betting, but not at the expense of DraftKings and FanDuel getting their way and getting fully available commercial online sports betting in the state. But DraftKings, FanDuel, this consortium of operators want very badly and maybe need California to legalize and to have that in their pocket heading into the future as they try to become sustainable. It's a huge addressable population, obviously new revenue stream that they, right now, as we've talked about in past podcasts, the map is not looking great for expansion. So California, they will be pouring pretty much everything they have, I would imagine, into this, which, takes the scale up and at least makes it a possibility in California.
Adam, if we gave the casinos in Las Vegas truth serum, would they be rooting for this to not pass? I mean, listen, you know as well as I do, there isn't really a major California city that's close really to a border, and certainly not LA or San Diego or San Francisco or anything like that. So I mean, they're still they're still having to fly here if they want to do anything. It's not like they can pop across the border like we were talking about in New York City or something like that. So it's not one of those scenarios, but again, truth serum, do you think that they're rooting for the tribes to win out here?
They're rooting for nothing to pass. They're rooting for it to be status quo. They don't want anyone to have sports betting in California. And again, let's be real about when we talk about this. Sports betting is an amenity. It's additive. It is not the draw, the reason people are coming to Las Vegas to spend the weekend, right? But it is a significant source of revenue for the sports books when you look at the fact that, yes, mobile has ticked up to, say, 60% or so for your average Nevada report and your average Nevada sports book. But 60% on mobile means 40% in person, and a lot of that is foot traffic, and a lot of that is foot traffic of tourists from California. So it's not that you're necessarily worried about whether or not I should say what your whales are going to do. It is in a lot of ways about what a lot of that public action is going to do coming from California, especially during football season. So, no, I think they would prefer that nothing ultimately happen in California. And as Dustin said earlier, I still think that's a distinct possibility that the answer is nothing passes.